the harsh reality after 30. Crossing into your 30s, many men realize that life is no longer as light and easy as it once felt. Pressure starts closing in from every direction. Your family needs you. Young children need care. Your parents are beginning to age. Work has moved past the phase of exploration and learning. Now it's about maintaining performance, holding your position, and carrying heavier responsibilities. Finances are no longer just about spending on yourself, but about sustaining an entire web of needs around you. At this stage, quite a few men begin to fall into what's called a midlife crisis. Research shows this is not some vague concept. Stress levels in men peak in midlife, and the rates of depression or even suicide are highest during this period. The reasons come from a mix of factors. Biologically, your body begins to change and your health is no longer at its peak. Socially, expectations and responsibilities weigh heavier on your shoulders. Psychologically, the sense of progress and excitement from your younger years slowly gives way to repetition. Men feel the impact more strongly because they still carry the traditional burden of being the pillar of the family. When society looks at a man, he is often judged by his ability to provide, to protect, and to succeed outwardly. This makes it harder to share the pressure and easier to slip into a state of silent endurance. While women often have broader emotional support networks, many men rarely seek or receive genuine understanding. Over the years, accumulated pressure doesn't just wear down your body, it erodes your will. Have you ever asked yourself whether you are truly living each day, or merely trying to survive until the next? That question is more important than you think, because it doesn't just touch your emotions, it reflects your true state. Many believe the cause of their exhaustion is too much work or too heavy a family burden, but the truth is different. What wears you down the most often isn't the immediate pressure in front of you, but a quiet, hidden process within one that most people don't notice until it has already drained much of their energy and their will to live. Once you see this, you'll begin to look at life after 30 with entirely different eyes. And that's when you'll be ready to dig deeper into why progress in your life seems to have come to a halt. When progress comes to a halt. In your 20s, life often feels like a steady climb up a mountain. Each year brings new skills, fresh experiences, and opportunities waiting ahead. You change jobs, learn things you never knew before, meet new people, and see the world with a deep sense of curiosity. There's always the feeling of moving forward, and that movement fuels excitement. But after 30, the slope begins to flatten. Your career has settled. You're familiar with the rhythm of your work. You know the people in the environment, and you've learned how to handle recurring situations. This stability might bring a sense of safety at first, but it is also the first sign of a plateau. The variety that once made each day feel fresh starts to fade. Work becomes repetitive. Conversations are predictable. Even your achievements no longer deliver the same thrill they once did. This doesn't happen because you failed, but because the human brain adapts. What used to be a challenge becomes familiar. What used to spark excitement becomes habit. When your surroundings no longer provide novelty or meaningful challenges, the sense of progress begins to disappear, often without you noticing. The effect on your motivation is subtle. You might find it harder to start the day. Goals that once energized you now seem distant and dull. You still get things done, but inside, the fire burns lower. You're no longer driven to push forward, you're maintaining. And maintenance, while stable, quietly takes away the sense of purpose you once relied on. This is where many people mistake the situation. They think stability means they've arrived, that it's the reward for years of effort. But stability without growth is simply a stopover. The longer you stay there, the smaller your inner world becomes. The stability you believe is an achievement is often the very reason you feel lost. It's not that you've gone backward, it's that you've stopped moving forward. When forward motion disappears, your mind turns inward, searching for something to hold on to. Without challenge, without novelty, even a comfortable life can start to feel empty. You might tell yourself this is normal, but the signs of disconnect build slowly: less curiosity, less ambition, less willingness to try something that might fail. Over time, this withdrawal becomes a deep sense of detachment from your own life. And that detachment is dangerous because it can disguise itself as contentment while quietly eroding your drive. That's why many men in their 30s or 40s suddenly realize they can't remember the last time they felt truly excited about something. They've been living up to expectations, keeping the machine running, but machines don't feel alive. If progress has slowed, what will pull you forward if every day is just a copy of the last? What will hold your sense of meaning, even when you finally achieve the things you once dreamed of? The home, the job, the relationship, the security. You can still feel empty inside. That emptiness isn't proof you chose the wrong goals. It's proof that the goals you reached were never meant to be the final destination. They were checkpoints, not the finish line. And so, even when you have what you wanted, the emptiness remains. It's not a sign of ingratitude, it's a reminder that there's still a journey ahead if you don't want your life to become a loop with no end. The truth about the ideal life. From a young age, most of us are taught that the goal of life is to reach a state of completeness. To have a beautiful home, a stable job, a partner to share life with, and financial security. In our younger years, we see those images as the ultimate destination, believing that once we achieve them, happiness will naturally arrive and stay. But after 30, many men realize they've reached parts of that picture and still feel an emptiness inside. You might have the home, the good job, and the long-term relationship. Yet the initial excitement fades quickly. The joy of buying a new house lasts only a few months. The romance of the early years of marriage gives way to daily routines. The pride of earning a new title at work is soon replaced by repetitive tasks and the pressure that comes with them. This doesn't happen because you chose the wrong goals or because your life is less fortunate than others. It happens because humans have a psychological mechanism known as emotional adaptation. This is the basis of the hedonic treadmill, the cycle of emotions. When something positive happens, your happiness level rises, but only for a certain period. After that, your feelings gradually return to baseline, even if your external circumstances remain the same. Imagine you get a raise. At first, you feel thrilled and life seems easier. But a few months later, you've adjusted to the new income, your spending shifts, and the joy of having more fades. The same happens when you buy a new car, move into a new house, or even get married. That initial burst of happiness is always dulled over time. This mechanism applies not only to positive experiences, but also to negative ones. When you face a setback, you suffer, but you eventually recover and return to your baseline emotional state. From a survival perspective, this is a strength that helps us adapt and keep going. But the downside is that the achievements and joys you once craved can't sustain long-term happiness. The problem isn't that you're not enough. The problem is that you've grown used to what you have. When novelty disappears, positive emotions fade, and you start looking for the next thing to fill the gap. This is why so many people fall into a loop, achieve a goal, enjoy short-term happiness, adapt, feel normal again, chase the next goal. At first glance, this cycle seems to push us forward. But without awareness, it turns life into an endless pursuit where you never feel truly fulfilled. Each time you achieve something, your mind automatically adjusts expectations and pushes you back to needing more. Understanding this is the first step to breaking the illusion of the ideal life. A bigger house, a higher position, or a fatter bank account won't guarantee lasting happiness. The key lies in learning to sustain gratitude, seeking meaningful novelty, and investing in long-term values like quality relationships, mental well-being, and personal growth. When you realize you're on the hedonic treadmill, you'll see that what needs changing is not just your goals, but the way you experience and appreciate what you already have. This is not a call to abandon ambition. It's a reminder that ambition must be paired with awareness. And that begins with a deeper mechanism within you. A mechanism that, if left unexplored, will keep you chasing happiness somewhere ahead, when it could very well exist here and now, in the present moment. The two sides of adaptation. Adaptation is one of the most powerful abilities humans possess. It's what allows you to stand back up after what once felt like an unbearable setback. When you lose a job, go through a breakup, or experience a personal shock, you feel pain and disappointment. But over time, your emotional adaptation helps you regain balance. The initial negative emotions ease, wounds begin to heal, and you can move forward again. This is the positive side of adaptation. It's a self-healing mechanism that has kept humans alive through thousands of years of change. But this same mechanism has another side that few notice. When something good happens, the initial joy will also fade. The dream home becomes just the place you live. The job that once made you proud turns into daily routine. Even your happiest moments lose their shine once you've grown accustomed to them. This is how adaptation quietly strips life of its novelty and pulls you back to your baseline emotional state. No matter how good your circumstances remain, researchers have compared emotional responses between people with no history of depression and those who have experienced it. In one study, both groups received bad news, such as lower than expected test results. At first, both groups felt equally upset, but the difference emerged in recovery time. Those without a history of depression returned to their normal emotional state more quickly, while those who had experienced depression took much longer to recover. This shows that the speed of adaptation affects not only how you bounce back from hardship, but also how you experience daily life. If you adapt quickly, you're less likely to be stuck in negative emotions, but you'll also lose the emotional high from positive experiences more quickly. If you adapt slowly, you may hold on to joy longer, but you'll also stay in sadness for longer periods. Either way, adaptation comes with a cost. The challenge is this: most of us want to move forward, yet we don't realize that adaptation can make us run in circles. You achieve a goal, your happiness rises, and then adaptation pulls you back to your baseline. You set a new goal, achieve it, and return to the same emotional level. From the outside, it may look like you're making progress, but inside you're cycling through the same emotional range. You are moving forward, but in reality, you're just running in place, even when you deliberately seek novelty to break the cycle. Adaptation follows you. You change jobs, start a new relationship, or take up a new hobby. And at first, it's stimulating and exciting, but inevitably, it becomes familiar, and the initial spark fades. This doesn't mean seeking new experiences is pointless. It means you must understand how your emotions work to avoid falling into the trap of overestimating how long novelty will last. Recognizing both sides of adaptation helps you make wiser choices. You can enjoy stability without letting it turn into stagnation, and you can pursue new experiences without expecting them to preserve their original thrill forever. Rather than trying to fight this mechanism, learn to use it intentionally. Design your life to include enough newness to stimulate you, while maintaining a stable foundation that sustains you over the long term. And even when you chase novelty, you can still burn out if you don't recognize that your emotions will inevitably adapt. The key is not to keep chasing excitement, but to create meaning in what you do, so that when the initial thrill fades, the sense of purpose remains. When newness becomes exhausting, we often believe that change will bring a fresh breeze, break the monotony, and open the door to better opportunities. A new job, a new relationship, a new environment. All of it sounds exciting, but the reality is that even positive changes can make you feel stressed and drained in the beginning. A new job means learning unfamiliar processes, adjusting to a different culture, and building entirely new relationships. You have to figure out how to handle tasks you've never faced before, adapt to the working style of a new boss and colleagues, and deal with the pressure of proving yourself. Everything demands heightened focus and consumes far more energy than the work you were already comfortable with. The same is true for a new relationship. The initial excitement often comes with the pressure of getting to know each other. Building compatibility and maintaining a good impression, you have to think carefully about your words and actions, even your small habits. To adapt to someone entirely new in your life, because of this pressure, many people end up feeling worn out before they've had the chance to truly enjoy the benefits of change. Statistics show that up to 40% of employees leave their new job within the first 6 months. This isn't always because the job is bad more often. It's because they haven't given themselves enough time to get through the initial adjustment phase, a stage where discomfort is unavoidable. The key point is, this newness requires energy to adapt. And during this period, your brain is constantly processing new information while learning how to respond to situations you've never encountered before. Until you get past this phase, it's easy to mistake early stress as a sign you've made the wrong choice. Change is not the solution if you don't give yourself time to adapt. You can keep chasing new jobs, new relationships, and new projects, but if you lack the patience to push through the initial challenges, you'll repeat the same cycle of fatigue and disappointment. What matters is understanding that newness must be paired with perseverance. Only when you give yourself enough time to settle into a new environment can you begin to enjoy its benefits. And when you learn to be patient with the adaptation process, you'll realize that not all early discomfort means you made a wrong choice sometimes. It's simply the first step toward a richer and more rewarding life. So what truly keeps you steady in the long run? The answer lies in deeper, more enduring factors, and that's what we'll explore next. What we'll explore. 5 pillars for a sustainable life. When you look at people who manage to maintain balance, vitality, and a sense of meaning over many years, you'll notice they don't necessarily change constantly, chase novelty, or live a life of constant upheaval. What keeps them steady isn't the speed of change, but the solid foundations they build and protect. There are 5 core pillars that determine that stability: progress, challenge, control, meaning, and support network. Progress is the feeling that you are moving forward, even just a little each day. It doesn't have to be giant leaps. It could be learning a new skill, improving a habit, or finishing a long-postponed project. Without progress, you can slip into a sense of stagnation, as if you are living the same day over and over again. Each day that passes without forward movement quietly erodes your motivation and confidence. Challenge keeps you alert and fuels your creative energy. A task that's too easy becomes boring, while one that's too difficult can be discouraging. The key is finding the right level of challenge that forces you to stretch without overwhelming you. Without challenge, life loses its spark. With excessive challenge over long periods, you risk burnout and a loss of interest. Control is your ability to decide how you live, work, and use your time. When you feel you have no choice, everything becomes a burden. A lack of control leads to chronic stress and a sense of helplessness. On the other hand, when you have agency, even difficult tasks feel more manageable because you know you have a say in the outcome. Meaning is the reason you get up in the morning. It may come from building something important, helping others, or simply contributing to a cause you believe in. Without meaning, even great achievements can feel hollow. You might work hard, earn a lot, and hold a high position. But if you can't see purpose in what you do, emptiness will eventually set in. Support network refers to the people you trust and can rely on. Humans are social beings, and genuine connection is a powerful safeguard for mental well-being. Without it, you're more prone to isolation and life's pressures will weigh far more heavily. A word of encouragement, someone willing to listen, or a group that shares the journey with you can make all the difference. The reality is, if even one of these 5 pillars is missing, your life is more likely to lose balance. Having progress without challenge can keep you stuck. Having challenge without control can crush you. Having control without meaning can make you live mechanically. Having meaning without support can make you feel lonely even while doing the most meaningful work. True strength doesn't lie in constant change, it lies in the foundation you build. When that foundation is solid, you can face life's inevitable changes without being swept away. Conversely, if the foundation is weak, even a small shift can throw you off course. And restarting this strength sometimes requires only a small change. Adjust how you approach a task, tweak your goals to create a more fitting challenge, invest time in a relationship you've neglected, or actively seek meaning in your current work. Any of these can be the starting point. These small adjustments placed on a strong foundation have a ripple effect greater than you might expect, helping you not only stand firm but move forward with lasting strength. Change your environment to change your thinking. When feeling stuck or running out of ideas, many people believe they need to make a major change in life, quitting their job, moving to a new city, or starting an entirely new journey. But research shows that sometimes even a small shift in your surroundings can make a big difference in your thinking and creativity. Scientists have found that changing your workspace, for example, moving from your usual desk to a quiet cafe can help your brain process information in new ways. When you're in a familiar environment, your brain tends to run on old patterns, making it easier to fall into repetitive thinking. In contrast, a new environment, even a minor one, forces you to pay more attention, observe more closely, and as a result, triggers fresh neural connections. A study at Stanford University found that just 6 minutes of walking outdoors can significantly boost creativity. Interestingly, this effect continues even after you return to your desk. The change in setting and the physical activity combine to refresh the brain's approach to problem solving. In real life, many great ideas don't appear when we're staring at a computer screen trying to force inspiration. They often show up when we're doing something entirely different, taking a walk, exercising, or even reading an unrelated article. These moments act like a gentle nudge, freeing the mind from its habitual loops and allowing you to see a problem from a new angle. This shows that to unlock the flow of ideas, you don't necessarily have to change your entire life. Sometimes just changing your perspective by altering your space, adjusting small habits, or approaching a problem differently is enough to open a new path. This is why many people choose to work in rotating locations or dedicate part of their day to activities unrelated to their main job. You don't need to change your whole life. You just need to change your perspective. And that perspective is shaped not only by where you stand, but also by a deeper factor: the way you receive and believe the information around you. But even your perspective is influenced by a hidden factor, and if you're not aware of it, you might be letting it shape the way you understand the world. That's what we'll uncover next. When beliefs control your life. Most of us like to think we believe in something because we've carefully considered it, weighing evidence and logic. But psychological research shows that many of our beliefs are not formed through deliberate reasoning. They are shaped by an unconscious mechanism called the illusory truth effect. This is the phenomenon where repeated information becomes more likely to be perceived as true, even without solid evidence. The reason lies in how the brain processes information. The first time you hear something, your brain expends more energy to analyze, evaluate, and compare it to what you already know. But when you hear it again a second or third time, the process becomes faster and easier. This sense of ease creates familiarity, and the brain interprets that familiarity as a signal that the information is probably true. This explains why stories, opinions, or stereotypes repeated in your environment can sink deeply into your subconscious. You might hear a statement from a coworker, then from a friend, and later see it on social media. Even if you were skeptical at first, hearing it multiple times from different sources gradually makes you accept it as an obvious truth. Once a belief takes root, it starts shaping how you see the world, make decisions, and respond to situations. The result is that you may be carrying many beliefs that aren't truly yours. Beliefs that didn't come from your own experiences or analysis, but from passively absorbing what's been repeated around you often enough. The danger here is that your brain doesn't label them as something I've heard many times or something I've personally verified. It simply stores them as familiar facts, and familiarity is easily mistaken for truth. You are not the one controlling all of your beliefs if you let them form on their own, without actively identifying and questioning them. These beliefs can quietly dictate the course of your life, influencing your career choices, shaping how you act in relationships, and even defining what you think you deserve. Understanding this effect is the first step to regaining control. It's a reminder that every piece of information you take in needs to be examined, questioned, and tested against reality, not believed simply because you've heard it many times. This is why your information environment and the people you interact with regularly have such a powerful influence on your thinking and life direction. If you want to change your life, you have to actively rewrite your story. That means filtering your sources, being intentional about what you pay attention to, and replacing limiting beliefs with those that push you forward. Otherwise, you'll find yourself living in a script written by others, repeating thoughts that aren't truly yours, and wondering how you ended up so far from the life you actually wanted. Rewrite your own story. Looking back at the entire journey, you'll see that everything begins with recognizing the loop you've been living in, the loop of adaptation, of feeling progress only to return to the same starting point. of chasing happiness through external goals only to watch the joy fade over time. If you can't identify this loop, you'll keep moving on autopilot, believing you're moving forward when, in reality, you're simply spinning in place. The next step is to break it. This doesn't mean abandoning everything or overhauling your life overnight. Breaking the loop means daring to question the beliefs that have been ingrained in you, changing your environment, habits, or perspective to create the necessary disruption. It's about consciously introducing novelty and meaning into your life instead of letting everything flow down the same worn path. But breaking the loop is not enough. You must rebuild, creating a foundation rooted in the proven pillars of stability, progress, challenge, control, meaning, and support network. When these 5 elements are present and actively nurtured, you have the strength to stand firm in the face of change and maintain long-term momentum. Seek novelty with intention. Don't chase change just for the thrill of the moment, because that feeling will inevitably fade. Instead, choose new experiences that enrich your life, expand your skills, or bring positive relationships. Each carefully chosen novelty becomes a building block for a sustainable life, not just a temporary burst of excitement. Life after 30 is not harsher, but it will crush those who live unconsciously. When you stop letting yourself drift on autopilot, when you know exactly where you are and where you want to go, every challenge becomes an opportunity to grow. You'll stop being consumed by chasing other people's standards and start focusing your energy on writing your own story. If you want to keep waking up to life and protecting your sense of meaning, hit subscribe now. This isn't just a click. It's a commitment to yourself that you won't let your life fall into an unconscious loop, and that you'll choose to live with clarity, intention, and purpose.